Have you ever felt completely drained after spending time with someone? As if their presence alone could sap your energy, cloud your thoughts, and leave you questioning your own worth? We all encounter toxic individuals, people who thrive on negativity, manipulation, or constant criticism. But what if I told you that you don't have to let them control your emotions? That you could remain calm, composed, and unaffected, no matter how toxic they are? The ancient Stoics mastered the art of resilience, teaching us how to rise above external negativity and protect our inner peace. In this video, we'll uncover powerful Stoic strategies to deal with toxic people, so you can stop feeling drained and start living with unshakable tranquility. Let's dive in. There are moments in life when we find ourselves trapped in a cycle of emotional exhaustion. Certain people, whether they realize it or not, have a way of draining our energy, leaving us frustrated, anxious, and even questioning our own sense of self. Perhaps it's the colleague who constantly complains, the friend who never acknowledges your struggles, or the family member who thrives on conflict. Toxic people exist in every sphere of life, and their negativity can be overwhelming if we allow it. But what if we didn't have to suffer at their hands? What if we could move through life with an inner strength so unshakable that no external force, no criticism, no insult, no act of manipulation could disturb our peace? This is where the philosophy of Stoicism offers us a guiding light. The power of emotional control. The Stoics believe that external events are beyond our control, but our responses to them are entirely within our grasp. In other words, it's not what happens to us that determines our well-being, but how we choose to interpret and react to those events. When dealing with toxic individuals, this principle is crucial. We may not be able to change their behavior, but we can change how we allow it to affect us. Imagine someone hurling insults at you. The instinctive reaction might be anger, resentment, or the desire to retaliate. But what if, instead, you saw their words as meaningless noise? What if you chose not to give them power over you? As Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." A toxic person can only harm you if you let them. Their words are just vibrations in the air. Their actions are external events. The moment you detach from their negativity, you take away their control over your emotions. This is the essence of Stoic resilience, the art of indifference. One of the most powerful tools in the Stoic arsenal is the practice of apatheia, a state of inner tranquility, where one remains undisturbed by external chaos. This does not mean apathy or emotional numbness. Rather, it is the ability to maintain one's peace regardless of the circumstances. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." To embody this mindset, picture yourself as a massive rock amidst a raging storm. The wind howls, the waves crash, but the rock remains unmoved. The toxic person may attempt to provoke you, but their efforts are futile if you refuse to engage. You do not need to defend yourself, explain yourself, or match their negativity with negativity. Instead, you respond with silence, a knowing smile, or a simple nod, acknowledging their existence without surrendering your peace. Shifting perspective, seeing toxicity as a test. Rather than viewing toxic individuals as adversaries, consider them as teachers, unintended ones, perhaps, but teachers nonetheless. They provide an opportunity to practice patience, self-control, and detachment. Seneca, another great Stoic, wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." If you can maintain your composure in the face of toxicity, you are strengthening your mental fortitude. Think of it as training. Every negative encounter is a lesson in self-mastery. Instead of reacting emotionally, you observe. Instead of getting upset, You study the situation with curiosity. What does this person's behavior reveal about them? How can you use this moment to practice restraint? By shifting your perspective, you transform what was once a source of suffering into a valuable exercise in resilience. The power of choice, reclaiming your energy. At the heart of Stoicism is the understanding that we always have a choice. No one can force us to react in a certain way. No one can make us angry, hurt, or resentful unless we allow it. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, echoed this sentiment when he wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Toxic people will continue to exist. They will gossip, complain, criticize, and manipulate. But you have the power to decide whether you will engage or remain detached. You can choose to set boundaries, to walk away, or to simply let their words pass through you like the wind. By reclaiming this power, you free yourself from the emotional chains they seek to impose. Closing thoughts. Cultivating Stoic resilience. To live by Stoic principles is to walk through life with a shield of inner strength. Toxic individuals will come and go, but your peace is yours to protect. When faced with negativity, remember these core Stoic tenets. 1. Control what you can. Let go of what you cannot. Focus on your reactions, not their actions. 2. Embrace indifference. Their words and behavior do not define you unless you allow them to. 3. See toxicity as a training ground. Every difficult interaction is an opportunity to practice self-mastery. 4. Reclaim your power. No one can disturb your peace without your consent. By adopting this mindset, you step into a new realm of emotional freedom, one where toxic people hold no power over you, and your inner world remains serene, no matter the chaos around you. So the next time you encounter someone who seeks to drain your energy, take a deep breath, center yourself, and remember, you are the master of your mind, no one else. And that is the ultimate power, the freedom in letting go. In a world filled with uncertainty, people cling to what they know. We hold on to relationships that no longer serve us, jobs that drain us, and beliefs that imprison us. The mere thought of change can be terrifying because it forces us to confront the unknown. Yet, as the Stoics teach us, true freedom is found not in clinging, but in letting go. We suffer, not because of external events, but because of our attachment to them. We agonize over lost friendships, betrayals, and missed opportunities, forgetting that nothing in life is permanent. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And therein lies the great paradox of life. We gain control the moment we stop grasping. The burden of attachment. Picture yourself carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. Each rock represents a regret, a grudge, an attachment to an outcome you desperately wanted but never received. With every step forward, the weight drags you down. You grow weary, frustrated, unable to move freely. And yet, you refuse to put the bag down, convinced that carrying it is necessary. But what if you released it? What if you let go of the pain, the expectation, the need to control every aspect of your life? The moment you do, you feel lighter, you breathe easier. The road ahead becomes clearer. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Much of our pain comes not from what actually happens to us, but from the way we resist what is. We replay painful memories, dwell on unfairness, and wish for different outcomes. But the past is unchangeable, and the future is uncertain. The only thing within our grasp is the present moment, and how we choose to respond to it. The wisdom of accepting impermanence. Nothing in life is permanent. Seasons change, people grow apart, and circumstances shift in ways we cannot predict. This truth is often painful, but it is also liberating. If we can accept impermanence instead of fighting against it, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. The Stoics urge us to practice amor fati, the love of fate. Rather than lamenting the past or fearing the future, we embrace what is. We see every loss, every challenge, as part of a greater design that shapes us into who we are meant to be. Consider a river flowing effortlessly toward the sea. It does not resist the rocks in its path, it moves around them. It does not mourn the water it leaves behind, it continues forward. This is how we must live, accepting change as a natural and necessary force, rather than clinging to what is already gone. Releasing the illusion of control. One of the greatest sources of human suffering is the illusion of control. We believe that if we try hard enough, plan carefully enough, or worry long enough, we can dictate the outcomes of our lives. But life is unpredictable. We do not control the weather, the economy, or the actions of others. The only thing we ever truly control is ourselves, our thoughts, our actions, our responses. Epictetus put it simply, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." To waste energy on what we cannot change is to chain ourselves to frustration. But to focus on what is within our power, our perspective, our discipline, our virtues, is to unlock true freedom. This is not passivity. It is wisdom. It is the understanding that peace is found not in controlling life, but in mastering ourselves. Finding strength in surrender. Letting go does not mean giving up. It does not mean becoming indifferent or unfeeling. It means choosing where to direct our energy. It means refusing to be a prisoner of the past. It means surrendering to what is, rather than clinging to what was or fearing what could be. There is immense power in surrender. When we stop resisting life, we start flowing with it. We stop fighting battles that cannot be won. We stop giving power to people and situations that do not deserve it. We reclaim our inner peace. The next time you find yourself holding on to anger, regret, or fear, ask yourself, what am I truly gaining by holding on to this? And then, take a deep breath and let it go. For that is where true freedom lies. The strength in adversity. Life is unpredictable. It twists and turns, rising like the sun in moments of joy and plunging into darkness when hardship strikes. Many people fear adversity, viewing it as an obstacle, a punishment, or an unfair burden. But the Stoics teach us otherwise. They remind us that adversity is not an enemy, it is a teacher, a forge that shapes our character and tempers our spirit. When a storm comes, the weak tree is uprooted, but the strong one bends and endures. And so it is with us. Hardship does not break those who understand its purpose, it strengthens them. It chisels away at our illusions, our comforts, and our dependence on external validation. In doing so, it reveals who we truly are. The fire that purifies. Imagine a blacksmith standing before a blazing furnace. In his hands is a lump of raw iron, impure, unrefined, filled with imperfections. He places it into the fire, and as the flames consume it, the iron begins to glow, changing shape under the force of hammer and heat. The process is violent, yet necessary. Without it, the iron would remain weak and brittle, unable to withstand pressure or bear weight. We are like that iron. Without adversity, without struggle, we remain untested, fragile, and unaware of our true strength. It is through pain that we learn resilience. It is through failure that we gain wisdom. Epictetus, born a slave and later a great Stoic philosopher, knew this well. He once said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." When we face hardship, we have two choices: to resist and suffer, or to embrace and transform. The fire of adversity can either consume us or refine us. The choice is ours. The art of endurance. The Stoics often spoke of apatheia, not the modern idea of apathy, but a deep, unshakable calm in the face of life's trials. This does not mean feeling nothing. It means not being ruled by emotions, not allowing suffering to dictate our actions. Marcus Aurelius, who faced betrayal, war, and the weight of an empire on his shoulders, wrote to himself, "If you are distressed by anything external, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it. And this you have the power to change." Pain is inevitable, but suffering? That is optional. We suffer because we resist, because we label events as good or bad, instead of seeing them for what they truly are, neutral occurrences in a vast, indifferent universe. The Stoic way is not to wish for an easy life, but to cultivate the strength to meet life as it comes, finding power in what you control. Adversity often feels overwhelming because we focus on what we cannot control. We lament unfair treatment, regret past mistakes, or worry about an uncertain future. But the Stoics remind us that our power lies not in changing the world, but in mastering ourselves. Epictetus put it simply, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." You cannot stop the storm, but you can learn to sail through it. You cannot control what others think of you, but you can control how you respond. You cannot prevent every misfortune, but you can decide how you will rise from it. This is not weakness. It is ultimate strength, the kind that no external force can take away. Embracing the challenge. There is an old story of a king who wanted to test his people. He placed a massive boulder in the middle of the road, blocking the way. Many travelers came upon it, complained about their misfortune, and turned back. But one man, a poor farmer, saw the obstacle differently. Instead of cursing the stone, he pushed and strained, struggling for hours until he finally moved it aside. Beneath the boulder, he found a pouch filled with gold and a note from the king. The path to greatness is not in avoiding obstacles, but in overcoming them. This is the essence of Stoicism. Life will place boulders in our path. We can see them as curses, or as challenges that forge us into something stronger. What we do with those challenges defines us. The gift of hardship. It is easy to be kind, patient, and wise when life is smooth. But what happens when we are tested? When people betray us? When plans collapse? When illness strikes? That is when our philosophy truly matters. It is easy to read about courage. It is another thing entirely to embody it in the face of fear. Seneca, who faced exile and the loss of his wealth, understood this deeply. "A gem cannot be polished without friction," he wrote, "nor a person perfected without trials." The Stoics did not seek out suffering, but neither did they fear it. They saw it as a sharpening stone, refining their character, deepening their wisdom, and teaching them what truly mattered. They embraced hardship, knowing that within it lay their greatest growth. Strength through surrender. Surrendering to adversity does not mean giving up. It means accepting reality as it is, rather than how we wish it to be. It means no longer wasting energy resisting what is beyond our control. This is not defeat, it is power. It is the moment we stop being victims and start being warriors. The next time hardship knocks at your door, do not curse it. Welcome it as a teacher. Ask yourself, what is this moment here to teach me? How can I grow from this? And then, like the strongest tree in the storm, stand tall and endure. For strength is not found in avoiding hardship, but in facing it with unwavering resolve. And that, above all, is the essence of Stoic wisdom. The freedom in letting go. Life is a constant ebb and flow. We hold on to things, people, and desires, believing they define us, complete us. Yet, in the teachings of the Stoics, true freedom does not lie in possessing, but in letting go. The weight we carry, the expectations, attachments, and fears is what chains us to suffering. To live freely is to live lightly, to understand that nothing truly belongs to us, not even ourselves. The illusion of control. How often do we grip tightly onto things we cannot control? We worry about the opinions of others, the permanence of our relationships, the security of our wealth. But all these things are transient, slipping through our fingers like sand no matter how tightly we clutch them. Epictetus reminds us, some things are up to us, and some things are not. It is only when we learn to distinguish between the two that we can truly breathe. Imagine a sailor who fights the wind, cursing it for not blowing in his favor. His struggle is futile. But the sailor who adjusts his sails, who surrenders to what is, finds his way forward with grace. To let go does not mean to be indifferent. It means to be wise. It means to invest our energy only where it matters, on our own actions, thoughts, and responses. Everything else? It belongs to the vast, unpredictable tide of life. The strength in surrender. There is a common misconception that letting go is weakness, that to release something means to lose it. But the Stoics saw things differently. They understood that surrendering to reality as it is, rather than how we wish it to be, is the greatest strength of all. Imagine a clenched fist. It is tense, rigid, full of resistance. Now imagine an open palm, relaxed, receptive, free. The more we tighten our grip on the impermanent, the more suffering we create. But when we open our hands, our hearts, and our minds, we allow life to flow naturally. Seneca, in his wisdom, said, "He who is brave is free." And what is bravery if not the courage to release our fears, to accept what is beyond us, and to move forward unburdened? Lessons from the falling leaves. Autumn teaches us what we so often forget, the beauty of release. The trees do not weep for their falling leaves. They let them go, knowing that this is the rhythm of life. And yet, how many of us mourn change, resist it, fight it as though we could stop the turning of the seasons? A man once approached a Stoic teacher, grief-stricken over the loss of his wealth. "I have lost everything," he lamented. The teacher picked up a handful of sand and let it slip through his fingers. "Did you ever truly own it?" he asked. We are mere travelers through this world. Our possessions, our status, even our very existence, they are borrowed, not owned. The sooner we understand this, the sooner we are free. Finding lightness in detachment. Detachment does not mean lack of love or joy. It means experiencing deeply, but without chains. Love fully, but do not seek to possess. Work hard, but do not tie your worth to success. Enjoy abundance, but do not fear its loss. When we detach, we do not live less. We live more, because we are no longer weighed down by anxiety and clinging. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, faced war, betrayal, and loss. Yet, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Our suffering comes not from life itself, but from our resistance to it. To let go is not to lose. It is to gain everything that truly matters. The path to inner freedom. So what does it mean to truly let go? It means waking up each day with gratitude, knowing that nothing is guaranteed. It means embracing impermanence, finding joy in the present, and relinquishing the illusion of control. When we stop holding on to the past, we step fully into the present. When we stop fearing the future, we embrace life as it is. This is where true freedom lies, not in what we have, but in what we no longer need. The Stoics teach us that letting go is not an act of loss, but an act of liberation. And in that liberation, we find peace. The power of acceptance. Life unfolds in ways we cannot predict. We plan, we hope, we strive, only to be met with obstacles, disappointments, and changes beyond our control. In moments like these, frustration often takes hold. We resist, we fight against reality, clinging to what was or what should have been. But resistance only deepens our suffering. The Stoics teach us that true peace comes not from forcing life into our expectations, but from embracing it as it is. The futility of fighting against reality. Imagine standing in a river, attempting to push against the current with all your strength. The more you resist, the more exhausted you become. But what happens if you stop fighting and instead flow with the water? You move forward effortlessly. Life operates in the same way. When we accept what is, rather than struggle against what is not, we conserve our energy for what truly matters. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, reminds us, "Do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish for events to happen as they do, and your life will be serene." This is not a call to passive resignation, but to active engagement with life as it is. It is about recognizing where our control ends and where wisdom begins. Letting go of the illusion of control. One of the hardest truths to accept is that control is an illusion. We like to believe we are the architects of our fate, that if we plan carefully enough, work hard enough, and make the right choices, we can bend life to our will. But life, in its unpredictable nature, reminds us time and again that certainty is a mirage. Seneca wrote, "No man has power over the wind or the waves, but he can prepare his soul to weather any storm." A person may invest years into a career only to be laid off unexpectedly. A lover may pour their heart into a relationship that ultimately ends. A family may build a home only to see it destroyed in a storm. We do not control what happens, but we always control how we respond. The true test of character lies not in shaping the world to our liking, but in adapting ourselves to the world as it is. Finding strength in acceptance. Many fear that accepting reality means surrendering to it, that if they stop fighting, they will lose. But the Stoics argue that acceptance is the greatest strength of all. It takes immense courage to look at life with clear eyes and say, "This is how it is, and I will move forward regardless." A famous story tells of a wise philosopher who was unjustly imprisoned. Instead of falling into despair, he used his time to meditate and write, transforming his cell into a place of reflection rather than suffering. His freedom had been taken, but his mind remained his own. This is the essence of Stoicism, understanding that external circumstances do not determine our inner peace. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who faced war, betrayal, and loss, wrote in his journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." His words remind us that even in the face of chaos, we can find serenity by mastering our perspective. The art of accepting loss. Loss is one of life's most painful certainties. We lose loved ones, opportunities, youth, and health. Clinging to what is already gone only amplifies our sorrow. The Stoics teach us to appreciate what we have while it is with us, and to release it gracefully when it is time. There is a well-known Stoic exercise called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. It involves contemplating loss before it happens, not to dwell on fear, but to prepare the mind. By acknowledging impermanence, we reduce its sting. If we accept that everything we love is temporary, we learn to cherish it fully while it lasts. A father once told his son, "When you drink from your favorite cup, remind yourself that one day it may break. This will not make you love it less, but more." The same applies to everything in life: our relationships, our achievements, our very existence. By accepting that all things pass, we learn to hold them with open hands rather than clenched fists. The freedom of letting go. There is an unexpected freedom in surrendering to life. When we stop trying to force the universe into our mold, we open ourselves to possibilities we never imagined. When one door closes, we do not waste years banging on it. we turn and walk through another. Seneca advised, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." Most of our pain comes not from life itself, but from our refusal to accept it. The job we didn't get, the relationship that ended, the plans that fell apart, these things are only painful because we resist them. The moment we accept them as part of our journey, they lose their power to wound us. Living in harmony with life. To live as the Stoics did is to move with life rather than against it. It is to wake each day with gratitude, understanding that nothing is promised. It is to face hardship with courage, knowing that suffering is not in the event, but in our response to it. Imagine a tree in a storm. The rigid branches that refuse to bend are the ones that break, but the flexible ones, the ones that move with the wind, survive. Be like the flexible branches. Learn to adapt, to accept, to find strength not in resistance, but in resilience. The Stoics do not ask us to abandon effort or ambition. They simply remind us to focus on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, our character. Everything else is not ours to hold. And when we learn to let go of the uncontrollable, we finally understand what it means to be free.